Thank you once again for being a part of the journey. This is Brendan here for another one of my life journal entries. This is for April 4th, 2022. And yeah, there's definitely a lot that I want to be able to just kind of share that I've been reflecting on. And honestly, like the idea behind making these journals, like the more that I do them, the more I'm going to understand the importance of them. Because honestly, one of the things that's very interesting within this reality, and let me know if you guys relate to this, but it seems like every single day there's a lot of things that happen every single day. And if we're not recording it, if we're not taking time to reflect on it, if we're not taking time to talk about it, to journal about it, it's not hard for us to just kind of like go a few days past and then for us to just be like, what the hell, like what happened 3 days ago? Like what happened last week? Like what lessons did I learn? And you can take time to really be able to think about it, but it's so easy for us to be in the present moment. And that's a beautiful thing in itself too. But at the same time, the present moment can almost become an enemy. Interesting that I use this word, but like an enemy to the lessons of the past, in the sense that we will jump into the present moment as soon as we are not in the past. And then as soon as we're out of the past, we just like, so it is. We forget about it, we let it go, we move on, we move on, we move on. And that's wonderful, and that has its purpose. And then I think there's a time and a place where we want to be able to do that, but at the same time, do we want to do that with everything? There are certain things where we want to be able to take that extra minute or two or opportunity or afternoon to really just be able to reflect and be like, well, what did happen to me? What was that thing that I just went through? So for this log, there was something in particular that I wanted to be able to practice reflecting upon before it slips my memory, before I just like move into the next challenge, to the next thing that's on the path of my life. And if you're curious, I'm wearing this hat right now. Just when I started filming, I'm like, oh, like my dandruff is pretty bad today. And I don't know, people have dandruff, right? So I'm just like, whatever, I'll just put a hat on, whatever. So anyways, that's me being human right there. Plus it looks kind of cool. Anyways, but the lesson that I wanted to be able to share, and again, first of all, thank you to those of you who are watching this. For those of you who are watching this on any platform, thank you guys. I'm uploading this to a couple places. The full entries are also uploaded to Ibble, so if you're not following me on Ibble, just check the links of the info for this video if you're on YouTube or Instagram, and watch the full recording on Ibble, where I'll be posting ongoing there. So I wanted to be able to talk about patience, but patience with the waves that we go through in terms of our like states of energy. And a few days ago, and again, you know, just as an update, Lacey and I we're still waiting on the baby, and that's a big part of like what the patience story is about, what I'm here to talk about. And with this, you know, in particular, it was also like, again, like our days are kind of like, they're all over the place and everything right now. We're being patient, but then a few days ago, like both of us were just like super exhausted. Again, sleep patterns are just being disrupted, obviously kind of like getting us ready for when the baby's here and everything like that. But there, and I think a couple days ago, like it was like some solar flares, like there was like big solar flares that were happening. It was also like new moon in Aries. And I know a lot of people were really just hit by this. Were hit by either just like, it was either one of two things. You were either feeling like super exhausted or just like super energized. It was one or the other, and for both of us, we were just like freaking super exhausted, man. And so I think, you know, what I want to be able to reflect upon here, and I hope this is something of value for other people, is the idea that there will be times where despite your best effort, you will be exhausted. And that can be for a variety of reasons. And I think in those moments, it's important for us to be patient with the fact that that may be where we are. And there's a reason we are where we are in that moment. And I can say that like even after the day of being exhausted, the next day both of us were feeling great, you know. So it's like your body is very, very intelligent and kind of like, you know, in synergy with like all of like the galactic energies and moons and all of that stuff. Whether or not you believe in it, that's secondary, but whatever, you know, kind of like external circumstances are kind of like governing us, sometimes that will happen where we will literally just be like the body will just be like, today I'm going to be exhausted, because you individually, us as humans, you're freaking stubborn. And if I'm not like embodying and activating exhausted mode, I'll probably just keep going, and I'll probably just keep going, and I'll probably just keep going, and then I'll get exhausted to the point where it becomes impractical. And so, like, is there a place and a time where being exhausted is actually practical? It is actually something where the intelligence of the body is saying, hey, now is a great time to be able to slow down. And for us to be able to have the patience to do so. And so for me, that was very that was something that I was just reflecting upon, and it's not like an entirely new reflection, but it was something that I did. Obviously, I was brought back to it, so it was in the center of my awareness, the center of my consciousness, and I feel like it's something that a lot of us can probably relate to, where, you know, like, how do we have patience for the different states of energy that we are going through? When you feel exhausted, do you resist it? Do you feel like you're just like freaking frick, like I got things to do, I want to keep doing things, and it's a balance between still, you know, like managing responsibilities, but at the same time making sure you're taking the state to really be able to listen to what your body needs, and to be patient with the intelligence of the body, and to be able to trust that, you know, sometimes like from our conscious ability to be able to decide, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. There's also like another governing aspect to our physical vessels, where it will just say like, hey, like, you know what, like today you need to slow down. Today you need to do this. Today we're activating exhaustedmode.exe and slow down. And so, like, to really just be able to, again, kind of like meet that part of us in a place with like humility, with an open heart, to be in those places of exhaustedness, and to just be like, how can I love myself even deeper today? How can I love the circumstance even deeper today? How can I trust what is happening even deeper today? And so I think that for me is a very powerful thing to be able to reflect on. And again, and I feel like what we experienced a couple days ago is in many ways like also like training for, obviously, when we're going to be very busy, when the baby's here and everything like that, there will be moments when we are exhausted. And how will we meet those states of exhaustion? Will we resist it? Will we push through it? Will we find a balance of both? Will we find a balance of kind of like being able to hold that exhaustion and to pay attention to it, to listen to it as an intelligence, and to be able to say like, okay, like, how can I honor my exhaustion today? What can I do to nurture myself? Let's really, you know, like, let's get comfortable. Let's get as comfortable as I can. Let's make some good food. Let's have a shower. Let's, you know, like, do a little bit of stretching, movement, dance, exercise. When you're able to, you know, get some sunshine, just kind of like turn the lights off early, get away from your phone. Like, we have to be responsible with how we are showing up in those states when we are exhausted. Because if we unconsciously just be like, if we don't bring a degree of consciousness within those states of exhaustion, they will prolong themselves, and then we will find ourselves we're in like this perpetual state of exhaustion, where the exhaustion state is really just like a dip within the valley, and if you ride it well, you will find yourself coming up out of it. You will use that time to recuperate, to regenerate, to re-nurture, to recultivate, and then a day or two later, whatever the timeline is for you, you'll be like, oh, like, I feel great today, right? So again, you know, it's the message that I'm just reflecting on here is the idea that there are aspects to even our own bodies that we don't fully have control over, but we have control over the ways that we respond to them. There are bigger cycles that we are part of that we don't fully have control over. There are waves of the ocean that we don't fully have control over, but we have the ability to choose how we ride those waves. So for me, that was something that I just was experiencing over the past couple of days, and now I'm feeling pretty good. And carrying this, again, me just talking about this here is also me talking to myself. So next time that I feel myself getting exhausted, I'll be reminded of this entry, this conversation that I'm having, and just really be able to reflect and be like, okay, like, how am I going to show up into this moment? Okay, feeling a little bit exhausted, and again, it might be exhausted for a day, it might be exhausted for an afternoon, and if that's the case, you know, like, get really good at listening to your body and resting as need be. Like, a lot of people, they aren't good at resting. Sitting on your phone and just like staring at your phone isn't really resting. Like it is, but it isn't, right? Like, there's better ways to rest. that's something that I invite you guys to be able to meditate on. Like, can you get really good at resting so that you can rest? Like, you know, like an afternoon of rest is like going into like a hyperbolic time chamber, like in Dragon Ball Z, and you recuperate. And then like a good afternoon of rest will like fuel you up for like multiple days ahead, opposed to just like constantly kind of putting aside that intelligence of the body to say like, hey, we need to slow down, and then just like, you know, getting to the point where you become so exhausted that it's actually like, you know, you're kind of, the wheel starts spinning backwards opposed to start spinning forwards, right? So that will happen, right? Like the wheel spins, the wheel of our like development, our progression, our consciousness, but at times it will spin slower. And that's the idea, right? It's to be patient when our wheel starts spinning slowly, and make sure that we don't resist it to the point where we actually start spinning it backwards, right? Slowing down is still moving forwards. So get good at slowing down, right? Like the universe will go at the pace that you go at. And the whole message of like the tortoise and the hare, right? What was the actual message there? A lot of people kind of miss the message. The reason that the tortoise won was because the tortoise was being nothing but itself. And so how can you be yourself to the best of your ability? And the best of your ability is the intelligence of being able to listen to when you need to be able to slow down. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Thank you guys again. I'll conclude this quick little journal entry here, my life journal for today. I'll be back here as much as I'm able to, and as I feel called, while honoring my own energy cycles and everything like that. And yeah, I think that's a bit about it for now. Thank you guys so much. Please leave your comments. If you're on Ibble, go ahead and spark anything I share. I appreciate you guys' feedback. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave some questions here on Ibble, and I'll be back here once again. So thank you for subscribing, and thank you as always for being a part of the journey. Much love.